Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I can't be there with you. I'm in New York City for work, so appreciate the technology that lets us do this. I think I'm a gigantic screen at the front of the room, which is a little strange, but we'll see how this goes. I think the one change is quickly to the agenda because Christina needs to leave a little bit early, and we want to make sure that we get the resolutions in as we'll just switch the resolutions to a little bit higher up in the agenda, but want to make sure that we get the overview of the library first. So we'll do that, but first just to go through a couple of the housekeeping items after the welcome. Is there any public comment for today? Any requests? I don't think so. Okay. And then just to move on to the consent agenda, motion to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Trust that we approved that one. Great. Okay, so let's go to the presentation about Liverpool Public Library. Susan, if you wouldn't mind taking it away.
I'm going to unmute
and start video. Ooh, maybe I don't need that.
But I'll not pick you up. Oh, I can talk about it. Just sharing the screen right now. Because I was like, I should. It looks. If I didn't leave the computer. Thank you, Dave. That's the first time I think Dave today. So I want to welcome everyone. It's a real pleasure to have the OCPL board with us. Many of you know me. I've been around the system for 34 and a half years. I've been at Liverpool here now for 7 years. And many of the staff I've had the pleasure of working with or hiring or promoting. So it's just a pleasure to host you today. I'd also like to introduce you to 2 members of our board, Dennis McLaughlin, our board president, David Wood, and a prospective board member who will be sworn in next month, Cindy Hazlett. So just a little introduction to Liverpool. I know we have some also new board members, and I think it's an opportunity to share the differences. One of the great strengths of our system is the variety of libraries, the different communities we serve, although we all share the same service philosophies and we're all striving to serve our patrons in the best way. So to give you some information about Liverpool and what we do and some of the things we're thinking about for the future, and then also to express to you how important the system is to us. So welcome. And Liverpool is a school district public library. In our system, we have different types of libraries. Governance, we are one of 2 school district public libraries, the other being Baldwinsville. And what that means is our charter to serve borders are contiguous with the borders of the school district. So the people that fund our library are residents of the Liverpool Central School District. But one of the things that's a challenge to us, you can see our border starts right at the end of the southern end of Onondaga Lake, and then it goes all the way up to where Route 31 and 481 intersect. Think of the area around the Great Northern Mall. and it's kind of a narrow slice there. But that's our service area. So even though mileage wise, it's not significantly far from here to there, driving wise it is, and it feels like a different community. So one of our priorities is trying to get out, because we recognize that everybody has access to this southern end and our location here in the village. So we have an MOU that governs the relationship between the school district and the library, and it sort of lays out the different responsibilities. The two big things for us is the school district owns this building. So that may be why you don't see a lot of construction grant projects for Liverpool Library, because anything over $9,999 has to go to the state ed department, because this building is owned by the school district. So when we renovated 4 years ago, in order for the timing to line up, because SED approval can take months for a school project, we expedited our plans with SED so we could take advantage of a construction grant. Anything under 10,000 we can apply for, otherwise it has to go to SED. Also with the building, we can change carpet, we can repair things. For example, our elevator, we pay for the quarterly maintenance, we would pay for any small repair. But should like the elevator break and become inoperable, infrastructure is the responsibility of the school district. So roofing, HVAC, anything like that. And also our school district, part of the services they offer us is some payroll services and processing our invoices. So while we do the inputting of the payroll, we create purchase requests and purchase orders, they process those. So my check, even though we're independent from the school district, does say Liverpool Central School District on it. That's part of the services that they give us through this MOU. And then we did complete renovations of our entire library, except for this room, in 2020, about a month and a half before COVID started, and then we finished the children's room in 2021. So our trustees are elected, and they must reside in the Liverpool Central School District. So different from your board, where it's appointed trustees, ours have to go on the school budget ballot and be elected. So both our trustees and our tax levy are voted on by the residents of the school district the same time the school budget. So in May, you would go to, if you're a resident in Liverpool, you could go in, you could see the school budget, the school trustees, any school propositions, and then separately, the library budget and the library trustee vote. So people can vote yes, no, any combination they want. We hope that our patrons are pro-education and will support all of us, but sometimes we do have differences in that and vote yay or nay for either option. And our trustee terms are 5 years and then no term limits. And our budget. So as I said, it's approved by the voters in May. Our budget is presented to them we have a detailed budget. The school district gives us 2-page spread in their budget flyer that goes out to the district. So we give the information to everyone, but we break out our budget so people can see that 69% of our budget is dedicated to direct patron services. So that's the materials, that's the staff who work at circulation desks, who do programs. And 17% of our budget is infrastructure, maintenance, IT, and 14% is administrative, legal fees, consulting fees, salaries we have 4 administrators in that category. Our fiscal year lines up with the school district, so it's July 1st to June 30th. And this year, our budget is $4,478,000. We are subject to tax cap, so our board is acutely aware of that, and it's our goal to not exceed the tax cap. So we do our very best. We work really hard over a period, looking at markets. You guys do the same thing. We work very hard over a period of number of months to make sure we're presenting a budget to the public that shows our good fiscal stewardship, but also can programmatically advance the library. And we also have to account for increases in things like heating and salary, minimum wage, and whatnot. And our staff. This is a picture of some of the new staff that came on board since the spring. Because we are a school district library, we are subject to civil service. That has all the challenges and strengths that come with that. Our staff are members of the New York State retirement system. We have our health benefits through the district. The library pays for them, but our employees can avail themselves of the benefits the same as our staff at the school district. So our benefits are quite. We have 56 employees, and you can see the breakdown there. And we are a unionized shop, so our employees can join CSEA, the same union that OCPL employees, but we are a separate bargaining unit. So we do contract negotiations every 3 years. So we'll be doing that this spring. During COVID, we did 1 year because we were so unsure of what's going to happen. But we'll be back to the table in the spring. And I must say, excellent staff. I'm really delighted to be working with this staff. And this is some numbers, but you have that information in the packet I gave you for our annual impact report. But one thing I wanted to point out was, again, here's a map of our service area, and the stars represent places that we regularly visited. Because as I said, we have to meet people where they are, and sometimes it's hard for groups to come down to this location. And so we had 41 community visits to 22 different sites. And that ranges from apartment complexes to food pantries to the schools. We hold programs in businesses, and we're even working as part of our strategic plan of getting out even more. And another fact is our circulation. We have a very high percentage of digital circulation. Not sure exactly why Liverpool does, but we subscribe to a product that's a customer relationship management software that gives us a lot of good information about our patrons based on what they check out. And digital users are higher than the national average. And the other thing we learned from the software is that the occasional user is next to digital is our highest user, people who just come in maybe every 3 to 4 months. Followed by, they use kind of cute names, bedtime stories. Those are adults who check out a lot of children's materials, followed by page turners, people who primarily take out print material. So we can get a lot of good data from that informs our purchasing. So this is why we've had a commitment to increasing our digital materials budget over the years. So these are some things that we've been proud of over the last few years. A few things that I'll point out, and this pointer is right here is our van, our to-go van. We had this van when I got here, but 3 years ago, using an ARPA grant, we outfitted it for technology. So it has a router on the roof, and we can take it on the road and set things up so people can access the internet, they can print, they can scan, they can fax. And sometimes we do that, and sometimes we just bring books and other materials. So our staff loves going out to the community with the van. And we also are very proud of our variety of programming. And here is a picture of this, which we got 2 years ago with a grant. And this is they say it's a mobile kitchen. It's mobile within a room. It's over 200 pounds, so you can't really take it anywhere. But this Charlie Kirk was designed by the group in California who are affiliated with Forks Over Knives movement. So it's all about, food literacy and healthy eating. And we can take a look at that after the meeting. But all of these things and more are housed in this cart. So you utilize it a lot for programming. And the other thing I wanted to point out is our partnership with the school district, which is really important to us. And something that we work on continuously. And this picture here is a picture of a program that we started last summer in 2023 called Reading Buddies, where we worked with the students in the career and technical education at the Liverpool School District who are in the early childhood or teaching cohort. And they were trained and they came in and worked one-on-one with students who needed reading help. And we were able to expand that program this year through a grant from CNY Literacy, and we paid the students. So it was a win-win. They got real life gratification of what they're learning in school. It got some money, and our younger students benefited from the tutoring. And we were able to, with the help of our literacy specialist, who just hired, issue pre and post tests to see if we could see any movement in the children's skills after the session. So those are just some of the things that we've done. Also in this room, in our meeting rooms, we did install hearing loops. So anyone who has a cochlear implant or hearing aid can hit their T-coil and the ambient noise will go away and they get a clear sound. And that was part of our efforts, always looking to try to make our library as inclusive as possible. So that leads me to what we've spent the last year, and we're in the same, maybe a few months ahead, doing the same thing that OCPL is doing. And so I don't have to talk to you about the process, because it's like very much following the same process of talking to the public, talking to our staff, one-on-one interviews and focus groups, and you have a more graphic presentation of this in your packet. But this is our strategic plan that our board approved in July. So, going into this, there was a few things that we did in our staff development day in 2023. We challenged the staff to do a lot of dreaming and envisioning. We also wanted the staff to think about what are the challenges in our community, what are the challenges to providing library service, and we also wanted them to talk about, I use the term secret sauce. What makes Liverpool uniquely the Liverpool Public Library? So we gathered a lot of that information going in before we even worked with our consultants to kind of inform how we were going to move forward. And then we talked about challenges. And, we all share in libraries, I think, the same challenges, certainly the political and social climate with book banning, something in my 30+ year career I thought I would never see to the level. Knock on wood, it hasn't come to central New York in the way it's come to other parts of the country, but we don't know. And it's really quite frightening. So we have that challenge, but we also talked about some of the challenges of our communities and our families. And I think the competition for Pete's time is a real challenge because there's so much really truly being offered out there. We are no longer the only game in town. There's many organizations that have moved into the space of what libraries traditionally have supplied, except for the collections. That's actually our unique space. But programming, outreach, even corporations have an outreach component. The Bounce House offering a bounce time with literacy. Who would have thought? And some parents are willing to pay for that level of experience for their child. So I think it should push libraries to be a little bit hungrier in what we do, to think a little deeper about what we provide. And that's, I think, something that we're exploring as we move forward with our strategic plan. But the plan would not be possible. People we serve, the community partners we have, and the system. So we serve obviously children. So here's some examples of things. They're just a smattering of examples. Teens and tweens. I will say that your meeting will end before tween scene. Wednesday night is tween scene and teen scene. Teens are quiet. It's a small group of dedicated teens. The tweens, 11 to 14, that's wild here on Wednesday nights. And luckily with the nice weather, they've spent a lot of time in the garden, getting out their energy. But when they come, it'll be crazy. And then we also serve the community. We've been fortunate to have 2 staff members whose formal background has been education degrees, but we're also homeschool parents. So they bring that level of expertise. So we have a homeschool collection, but we also have programs for homeschoolers. So Tuesdays are homeschool day. We call it Terrific Tuesday, a variety of different programs that we alternate. And then we also offer this component because of our staff members of homeschooling 101 for parents. So the parents can share ideas, they do curriculum learning, we've started a homeschooling book club, so the homeschool parents read books together and discuss it. So that's something we provide. Of course, we all reach our seniors and then try to do some things that appeal to families. That's big. 2 programs that we have is we work with the juvenile diabetes group and an ADHD group, where families and their children come and they do a joint thing and then they split. So the parents of children with juvenile diabetes or ADHD can talk and share ideas and challenges. and the kids go off and do something themselves. So that's sort of a nice family things that we provide for those two organizations. And then we have started some programs for adults with disabilities, hangouts and groups. And then hangout is, it took a while to grow. As you know, in libraries, sometimes you have to start something and plant the seed. But now we get about 30 to 40 adults with their caregivers in this room. And they do gaming, video gaming, board gaming, crafts, sorts of things. And there's just some pictures of that. So you want to know what's hanging in the lobby. This, oh, it was on another slide. But we recently had an artist in residence program where the artist set up in our studio, had some open studio hours so people could see what she was doing. And then she hosted free programs for us. And the stars that you see on the wall outside are what the participants made. Then we had a reception. And then our community. So these are some examples of our community partners that we would not exist without these partners. I mean, our goal is that we are embedded within the community. So these different groups feel like, what would we do without the local library? And we've been expanding, going to some food pantries, local businesses. We do trivia at one there on Route 57 once a month. And like Raymond Flanagan allows us to have programs in their space. So one time there was a gentleman doing a lecture, I think it was on First Ladies or marching, something like that, historically. And they let us hold it where their loungers are. So everybody was looking back in the parking loungers. It's like 40 people while we were having this lecture. So they're a supporter of the work that we do. And I'll talk a little bit more about what Pool Pass is. Our relationship with the school district. We've tried to go into more apartment complexes because those are where a lot of children are who can't get here. And we have successes and failures. So this summer, we identified North Star Apartments where a lot of immigrant and refugee families live. And we had good success there because a lot of the parents, they only have one car. So one parent works outside of the home, the other parent works in the home, but doesn't have transportation. So that was a successful outing. We tried going to Madison Village, which is a mobile home park on Route 57, and great staff there, nice community room, and no one. And then our staff realized the children aren't there during the day. They're in other child care settings. So I think we have the license, like I say to the staff, sometimes we try things, we plan them, they're well-intentioned, they meet our priorities, and they fail. But that's okay. This failed for a particular reason. So we're working to identify more places that we can go. But this is, I think, what I want to impress upon this board is our strategic plan and work we do would not be possible without the system. Even Liverpool, which is the biggest staff I would think of the member libraries on, and maybe one of the bigger budgets, we can't exist without you, without people, system people here. It just couldn't happen. The delivery and the shared catalog alone, there's no way we could take on. So I guess this is my way of saying thank you for the work that you do because it makes the work we do possible. So, and I also want to give a shout out to like Jesse, the delivery has been just wonderful the last 2 years and it's been great. The work you do in terms of the system purchasing power, it allows us to have resources that we couldn't afford ourselves. And also it creates equity around the system, which is really important. So we don't we already have and have nots by virtue of the size of the districts and the taxing ability. But the work that the system does really levels out some really key things. Specialized collections, things like the gem that is local history, literacy, Braille, foundations and grants information, and then the shared expertise and the consultant services. We rely on the system staff, Amanda and the member liaison, her help, networking, the state library, being the conduit for information. That position is invaluable to us. Dane's team, and when I get to Pool Pass, I gotta give a shout out to Dane for this 3-year journey with Pool Pass. He's been with us. And something that I personally want to say is, it is very important to me and this library, but also to me as director. People who know me know I get it done. To have someone of Dawn's integrity and leadership at the helm, so and bring an issue to her, get her feedback that I so appreciate, and know that it's something confidential, that will remain that way, and that is something very, very appreciated. And so,
Thank you.
just one last thing, Sam, I know.
Yeah.
But we're looking at our implementation of our strategic plan. I want to tell you that I subscribe to Roger Martin, who's a strategic planning guru. You gotta pick where you're gonna play and how are you gonna win. So we're trying not to be all things to all people, but really focus on some key things first, which is early literacy, science and reading. Full Pass is a project we've been working on 3 years to get every student in the Liverpool district a virtual library card. It's just hit a lot of roadblocks with the firewalls, and then the district changed their building, so we didn't want to inconvenience them. Then Ed 2D2 law, but I think we're on track. Thank you. And I do again want to thank Dane for his help. You can build a building faster than you can implement. And the last thing I want to say is our early literacy mobile. We are designing it as we speak, and it will be coming hopefully by this time next year. And it will be bigger than our current van, which is basically just like a Toyota Sienna. It won't be as big as the bus, because no one wants to drive it and we can't park it anywhere. But it'll be in between, and this is something that we'll be taking specifically. We'll use it for a lot of different things, but it's designed so children up to 12 to 15 children can get on and sit and take part in activities of story time, as well as have books. And so we're really looking forward to launching that and taking that on the road to the apartment complexes, to the daycares, to the schools, to the pediatrician's offices. So it's really exciting, and I didn't realize all the bits and pieces you have to think about when doing vehicles. So we are working with consultants, technical stuff, because I'm sorry, one expertise we don't have at Liverpool is, do you want this kind of chassis? Do you want this? So those are things we're working on, and I hope I haven't too long, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And once again, the system, what the work that you do keeps us all.
Can't get into it now, but I can hopefully a little bit more about science and reading and early literacy related stuff later.
Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. I'm a big fan of the branch myself, bringing my kids there. So great to hear the overview. Just in interest of time, hopefully, Christina, you can stick around for a couple more minutes. I want to jump to the resolutions and go through those first, and then we'll come back to the rest of the agenda. So if we can start off on 24-27, this is the second consideration of the meeting room policy. Jill, I know that you sent a couple of updates there. So first, do we have a motion to consider this? And second? Any discussion on this one?
I see a typo. Yeah, go ahead. Third paragraph, last sentence. The word birthday is spelled wrong.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, no. Page, I don't know what she's talking, so.
So first paragraph online, says in addition, and it has a bracket.
The closed bracket, no open,
And so, Dawn, thank you for the changes. I wonder, places where there are parentheses, is that new text that would go in without the parentheses? Correct. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just one more. On the second page, it says, under no admission fee, donation may be charged. And then there's two exceptions, and then there's text below that. It says there will be an understanding. That should be not invented. I believe. And I have nothing else, so thank you.
Any other discussion edits?
And on the second page at the top, would we want to require with the copyright permission, presenting a proof of such permission that's been gotten? Or do you want to just leave it at that? It says for obtaining the required copyright permission, or we know here saying, and also presenting proof of such. Do we have that somewhere?
I do not. I'm not sure. Dawn, anything on this?
Actually, I met with Jill, earlier, and she brought up the same,
Oh.
concern. She helped work on some of these changes. I think leaving it the responsibility of the, that's using the room. I don't think I'd feel comfortable asking staff to approve, you know, what they're submitting, so.
Yeah, I would say like computation, I just meant something in paperwork saying, oh, by the way, you have to have this. And you turn in your stuff, you know, yes, you have
For sure.
to, no, absolutely not computation was saying.
Right,
So it's their responsibility, the user's responsibility to have gotten a license or permission. If anything goes, if they don't, it's on them. If the library stays out of it, it's the user's responsibility. So I can go either way on it, but I think a staff member might not know what they're looking at in terms of licensing. And if it caused something that become, a lot to become the library, rather than the
Well, you might say, library may require proof.
we can say that to one of the agree with you on that, whatever, you know, I would defer to your feelings on that. One of the things we wanted, we always hope for, is that whatever policy we have in place doesn't serve as, we're not looking to keep people out. We want people to use our meeting room, so we try to strike that balance. So, you know, requirements, so whatever,
If it says may, then you don't need to ask.
that's true.
Leave it.
That's probably it's good with me.
Any other discussion? Okay, so with the few updates, are we ready to vote? Great. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? Awesome. Thank you, Dawn, for getting this one through. We can go to the next resolution, 2428. It's the M&T grant motion for this one.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And second,
Seconded.
any discussion here? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. And then second grant that we have listed, CLRC Catalyst Grant for the White Branch. We have a motion for this one.
Make a motion.
I'll
Thanks,
second.
Christina, at second. Thank you. Any discussion here? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Making it easy. And then the last one, 2430, this New York State Construction Grant. Dawn, anything you want to just add in quickly on this one, just because this is a bigger one?
And it's a bigger one. Thanks to Amanda's work on this, we were recommending able to allocate the full amount. Wherever Amanda is, you'll know her.
That's great. Okay. Is there a motion for this one?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And second? Any discussion here? Good? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one passes too. Thank you. This is great. I think Christina, you can go. Thanks for being here. I think just to go over the other sort of these items, let's just go to the first consideration of the gift policy, and then we'll go through the other updates, sort of flip the whole agenda around. John, do you want to give an overview on the gift policy as laid out?
Yeah. Jill has a comment. Do you need me or?
Uh,
Wait, go ahead.
So Sam, there's two other things that we might want to allocate funding for. One is funding for, OCPL to have an event during NYLA at the library. And the second one is funding for the retreat.
Okay, yep. Yeah, okay, we can do those for sure. Do we have a sense for what we need to do there?
So I would make a motion that OCPL be able to spend up to $1,000 on the board fund for a event at the library for the NYLA conference.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
No, go ahead.
Great. Any discussion here? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And the second one, Jill, on funding retreat.
I would like to make a motion that the board allocate $750 towards funding for the OCPL retreat whenever it occurs.
A second.
Is there a second? Great. Any discussion here? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jill. Any other resolutions that we want to introduce? Perfect. Okay, let's move to the discussion item just on gift policy, and Dawn, turn it over to you.
The gift policy for art and artifacts, it's been a while, 2014, since we've reviewed this. I think it's a fine policy. I think it stands pretty well as is. It makes provision to sort of protect the library. I think in many ways when people want to donate something, the library reserves the right to decline any gift. At one point, we had someone interested in donating some paintings to Bet's Branch, wanting to hang them at certain places. Thank goodness for the policy because it helped us out there. We don't get to artifacts, but on occasion we do, so.
Is there, what's not mentioned here is a deed of gift form?
We have a deed of gift,
Okay.
yes.
I don't know if you want that mentioned in the policy, that they must complete.
Well, we could do that. Usually, someone contacts us, then there's discussion and they fill a deed of gift out and we just keep it file and then they have it. Okay, we can add that. That's a good point.
Jill, does that point also have the fact that they're going to push all rights to it?
That's why you want it. That's why you want it.
That's-
It's who they are, describes what they're donating, and it acknowledges that they have the right to give it over and that they relinquish all ownership.
Yes, we have the standard, and once we accept the gift, don't go back. Okay, I will definitely.
Any other questions on this one?
Is there anything more specific to this department?
John, yeah, is it? Yeah, I don't know. We can strike that, I suppose. I don't know how helpful that is, but it's like, it's been there, we've never used it or not used it, so we could leave it, maybe.
Thanks for this one, Don. I think it's a pretty good one to go over. I think also as board, we've been talking about gifts overall. And so this is a good place to start. I'm sure there will be more discussion on this. So we'll vote on this one next time. Perfect. Okay. We don't need to do anything now, right? We'll just we'll vote on it next time. Okay, so now we can go back up to the top of the agenda to pre-reads. I think instead of going through each one, the board has anything specific to ask, or Dawn, if you want to highlight anything specific from your report or from others, maybe we can do that just for purposes of time.
Okay.
Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to, you always get a lot of things to read in your board packet. I'd like to highlight the French and Central. Please take a look at that report. It does a wonderful job describing all of the activities that across our locations, and staff have done an incredible job this summer and moving into the fall. So please take a minute to read that. The other thing I want to just mention is that we had a wonderful staff participation in the Lighted Candle for Literacy Festival that was held early September. And we had staff in their costumes and Amy at the table there, and it was an extremely well attended event. The parade, of course, was canceled because the weather was bad. Didn't dampen the enthusiasm in the attendance. Very pleased to see that. And that's it. Upcoming, we had a wonderful system retreat at thank you. Retreats here and there. And it was, staff really enjoyed it. It was, the location, the venue was very, very nice. I think, being out with pine trees, and we had some fabulous speakers. So, it was well attended. To me, it was the perfect retreat, and I attended many of them. So thanks to Amanda and staff and everyone who participated. So, that's it. I'll try to keep it short.
That's great. Thank you for that. Any questions from the board on anything Dawn went over or from the pre-reads? Great. Well, yeah, thanks as always to the staff for putting them together. I think it's a really good overview. And no, also can probably segue to the strategic plan updates. One of the things that we've talked about a lot is communicating out the things that are available from individual branches, from the system as a whole. And so I think, you know, these reports certainly do a lot to showcase all the good stuff that's going on and all the existing engagement. And so opportunity just to do even more. To the strategic plan, just a couple of updates. Probably the most important one to the board, I'd sent out for availability for the weekend of October 26th. To potentially hold a board retreat. This is part of what goes along with the strategic planning process, part of the overall schedule that we'd agreed to right at the beginning when we signed on Heidi and team to do the work. And so this will be an important part for the strategic planning team to kind of go over what are the pathways that we've identified, some overview of it, and start to really think through what do next steps look like here. So an important time. Again, I think at this point, we'll probably just say October 26th is the one that we're going to go with, unless there's mass protest around that date. It seems like it works for a number of the folks that have gotten back to me. If it absolutely doesn't for you, let me know. But otherwise, when I start getting things scheduled in. So again, let me know just through email, and we can do that. Any questions quickly on retreat updates?
For scheduling purposes, what time?
Yep.
On the 26th, on that Saturday?
Yeah, I think we need to resolve that. So ideally, we can lock that in by the end of the week. So we'll get back to you on that and can email it out. When one thing there's preference for morning. Is that what I heard?
I was asking the question, if it's morning or afternoon, but I don't know.
Yep, like I just said, we'll try and lock that in this week and get back to you on it. I think one thing is, so it's budgeted for 3 hours and then plus a meal. So I think we'd either say kick off with lunch and then do the retreat, or do the retreat and then end with lunch. And so again, we'll just make sure on the timing, space, things like that. But we can resolve ideally by end of the week, and then can get back to everybody on that.
The sentiment in the room is morning. Just so you know.
Great. That'll conflict with every single soccer game that my kids play, but we'll make it work. Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited to do it. So yeah, we'll lock that in. Great. And then just the other piece on the strategic plan, we continue to move forward on it. We've started to we've collected feedback through surveys that the board completed, staff completed. There were also a number of both one-on-one and focus group interviews with folks from around the community, staff throughout the system, and then also just others that may be super fans of the library that come all the time, and others that don't use the library, but certainly connected within the rest of the community. And so a lot of really great feedback, some clear trends that aligned with what I think we already knew, other things that might have been surprising, or at least more detail on maybe what some of the original assumptions were. And so again, as we're starting to compile all of that, we'll begin to share out with this group to get consideration. And then part of this also is not just what are the key trends, it's what do we do about it, how do we start to measure what success looks like. And certainly a big push around, we have a great amount of users and folks who come to the library every day, every week, every month. Obviously value them and their perspective on things. There are also a lot of people who do not use library services at all. And so there's opportunity to reach out to them too. And so there will be, strategies to think about how to do that effectively through marketing, through other things like that. And so more to come. I'm excited to talk with you all more about it as we have more to report out. But any questions just based on that overview? Jill, I don't know, Ed, if you all have anything else that you want to add in as well, as you've been a part of it. Any of the other strategic planning team, if there's any other updates that you all would like to add in.
I think the one thing Sam hasn't said in that is that, it's not only the board, but many of the people sitting behind us are working on a strategic plan. And so it's been a really good collaboration, good discussions about, what OCPL is doing, could be doing, you know, kind of some wild visioning along the way and good data collection. So, I think once we're done, which is at some point before the snow flies, it will be a very strong strategic plan.
Anything else on strategic plan that folks want to bring up or ask about? Okay. I think we got through everything. Is there any other items that anybody wants to talk through?
I have a question.
Yes.
All the asks that you asked at the budget, did you get them?
Maybe I'll let Mark answer that. We did very well so far.
For the most part, yes. Real in essence, yeah, we got positions, well, we didn't get them, they were. Passed on to the executive budget. It's gotta be adopted in override pledge. Stayed in the book draft Tuesday. So the positions are still in there. Programming. Farmers funding, yes, 30, 25 in there. Lighting. All the materials still in the budget.
Really not. So, I mean, we know books and materials are more expensive, but that's a long time since we've seen that kind of,
Yeah.
amount of money. we spent.
Please, typically our executive usually gets adopted. Because I've been there, our executive always ends up being adopted, so I'm anticipating that this group is not adopted until it's adopted. All the ITS made it through. The facilities and maintenance. Exceptional about housing. So, the vehicle is not in there.
Could you wait till the end of the year?
It's a one time deal, so.
We got one for,
Yes, we got one, but we're expecting it any time. We got two of those vehicles like this, trying to make it look like it. Volunteer it.
yeah. Those are
The, public hearing is on October 3rd at 5:30.
So you got the Service Pros? Was there some type of software you wanted?
For the windows.
Oh.
Obviously, we might get it.
Pilot? Yeah. Press.
We think we got it.
You think you got
it? Yeah,
But it's in the budget.
yes. We still. And the full votes on that, great.
Yeah.
Hillary, 1 o'clock.
Traditionally, the executive budget. We usually.
So you don't have to go and defend it.
well, this sort of reminds me of what Susan Rickon said. Liverpool couldn't have existed without the system. So I feel like Liverpool, Beeville, Noble, we needed, we should ask if they would either write or speak at the public hearing if it was needed. Talk about the system, I mean, for survival.
Yes.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Legislators.
Well, used to be sometimes it was good, like, in office. So, years.
No, actually, the reform, I think that's probably why.
The
mean, it seems to be headed the right direction. To do something.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased. The Facilities act, huge. We need to do it there, so. It's been a bigger challenge to get things out. So. Be a good thing.
Not about this budget, but is there, will you think there'll be any movement next year on Pettit? The Pettit meeting room?
We're reliant, unless we can get the executive, 14th board executive to give us a little bit more latitude to do some creative kind of home. Reliant on the director of facilities for the county, who is tied up with the aquarium and the steam school. So unless we can get it unleashed from, because we could do some of that work on our own to see if there's something, what could be done with that, within the funds available to make it work with the, on a community room, above all. We would with the charging stations and a lot of other things like that. But we've been, it's what, at least a year ago that we met in the library, and Archie said, we'll get right back to you.
Where it comes to now is he's reached out to the architect, looking for revised drawings. When the contract with them expired in December, I submitted an amendment to that contract, it's sitting in legal department. Once that gets drafted,
At that meeting, he said he was gonna issue a new RFP. It's like, well, doesn't it make sense to rely on the architect design, at least in the first instance, to say, what could you do to give us what we need within the budget? And so it's all this lost time. And it's a lot more.
I did too.
But to Jill's point, I think we need to figure out a strategy to try to get it moving somehow. Every time I see Carol Johnson, because it has gone nowhere.
I think it'd make sense for us to set some time from the future board meeting to have a specific agenda item to this, just to all get on the same page and make sure that everybody knows current state and plans and where we might want to push, or ideally push on some things or have more communication. So maybe that's something we can do for next board meeting or in a future one. Great. Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I have a couple of points, quick, just informational. Going back to the students literacy effort on the south side that was on September 7th. The sign, I wasn't there, it's the first one I missed since 2006, but I got all the photos and I had conversations with lots of people, and it really was phenomenally well attended. And I mentioned before, but there were two really interesting new features. One was we hired a woman from Rochester, Reverend Maggie Moore, who played Harriet Tubman. And the better part is that she paid for it. But she was apparently, she captivated the audience. And what she said to me was, one is some of the kids were shy because they probably don't know the history of Harriet Tubman. So the adults were asking questions for the children sometimes. But she also said, I'd like to do something like that in Rochester. So that was cool. And the other part was, I can't remember Suzu's first name, but the young man, the 9, now 10-year-old, I think, blind young man that wrote the book, Braille Boy, that they brought in, goes by Suzu. So I don't think I can say it's like Zaire or Samson, but he was also, he worked at, he was their historian. He brought some of his books up. That was pretty interesting too. To get my hands on a couple of them, to give them sponsors. But anyway, last thing is maybe Amanda wants to say anything more, we have the TAP meeting next week, reception that our board has paid for. For a member of libraries who will be attending, it's gonna be at, Nugget Free Library.
Tuesday.
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 Registration information.
Say again?
Hopefully everyone received the registration link. I extended registration. Video registration.
So we have, as of this, we had at least 17 people registered.
Yeah, we had 17 people registered as of Monday, from, I don't know, like maybe 6 or 7 libraries. Decent. Jane and Renee are going to talk about AI. Mark's gonna be there. What else have you done?
Well, we're not going to meet and read some of the trustees of other libraries. Anyway, next thing is, I had sent an article out about this librarian in Solomon that was fighting banned books. And it turns out, others said to me, she's speaking. Fantastic. I learned from Jill that we can go, if you want to go and just have that.
So you can get a date now.
So maybe we'll have a meeting for on that maybe next month. Thank you, that's all I have.
So-
Susan, can you stay? Or are you there?
Yes, I have a school open house,
Yes,
but I got.
5-10 minutes.
So I want to thank Becky, publicly thank Becky for talking with someone from the St. Lucie Food Pantry about security and other issues around what's happening downtown with people who are unhoused and drug abuse and whatever. Becky spent a lot of time talking with the person, which I did not expect. But clearly, the changes at the rescue mission are affecting a lot of different organizations, and Becky has good information.
Thanks for taking it from the center.
I think we're normally to adjourn.
Oh.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Excellent. And second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you all. Have a great night. Talk to you all soon.
Aye.